And welcome to this edition of ACAP Today for the week of June 14th, 2021. I'm Jason Parent with the Aroostook County Action Program. On this week's program, we're going to talk about this heating season. The Home Energy Assistance Program members of that team are going to be joining me in that discussion. You see them on your screen now, and we're going to pick up that conversation in just a little bit. We're going to share with you why now is not too late to apply to get a benefit, and we're going to get a little preview of the upcoming heating season with folks. We'll do that in just a moment, but before we get to that, we are going to first get to this week's news and information that you can use. And we'll start by sharing that in this week's news, we need your help. ACAP will be hosting a number of community forum focus groups across Aroostook County. There will be one on June 29th at noontime in Madawaska, that same day, June 29th at 5:30 p.m. in Presque Isle, and on the 30th, the next day at noon in Holton. The purpose of these community forum focus groups or conversations is to help with ACAP's community needs assessment. So it helps determine what the needs are across the county and in different regions of the county, and is part of our data collection process, which will include other surveys and other pieces of secondary data that we will use to develop a community assessment of the region. And from that information, that will help us develop our strategic plan and our efforts moving forward. So we would really appreciate if folks have an interest in participating in these community forums, that they can contact Sherry Locke, her email address, slocke@acap-me.org there on your screen, or directly at 207-554-4130. There's a limited number of participants at each site that will be allowed into the site just to make it manageable. However, we will be offering some virtual participation opportunities for folks who feel more comfortable participating that way, but do intend to get folks together in Madawaska, Presque Isle, and Holton over those 2 days, and would love to have you join us for those community conversations. In addition, we are reminding folks that now is the time to get your COVID-19 vaccine here in the state. If you would like information on where there's a local clinic available or opportunity to get your vaccine, you can go to maine.gov/COVID-19/vaccines. You can also call us here at the office if you need assistance getting an appointment. We'd be happy to help you register online for an appointment at some of the sites. There are also now some walk-in clinic appointments available. So please do look at what the options are and consider getting your COVID-19 vaccine. There's also a hotline available if you would like a ride, a free ride to a COVID-19 vaccination site. That number is 855-608-5172, and they just request that you look into that 48 hours in advance of your appointment to get that scheduled. The home buyer education courses that we offer here at the Aroostook County Action Program continue this year, and we've had some record attendance in these classes. The next one coming up is Saturday, June 26th. It will be from 8 to about 5 p.m. in the afternoon, all held virtually via Zoom. It's an 8-hour, as I just noted there, home buyer education class. It's taught by industry professionals, and there are some wonderful benefits if you do enroll in the class and you successfully complete the class toward the purchase of your first home. We encourage you to contact Greg Doak, our certified HomeWorks instructor, with questions. His number is 554-4175, or you can reach him at the email address there on your screen. There's still some availability for this upcoming class, and then we'll also be holding some more later on this year. The emergency broadband benefit that we've been talking about continues to be available for families. The Federal Communications Commission has offered this benefit. It provides up to $50 a month a discount for broadband services. If you're part or living on tribal lands, you can get a $75 a month discount. And there's also the opportunity for a one-time discount of up to $100 for the hardware, be it a laptop, desktop computer, or tablet, purchased through a participating vendor. The FCC's website is the best place to go, fcc.gov/broadband benefit, for the latest information and to learn how to apply for this program. We still have a couple of remaining childcare openings at our Holton and Caribou Center. This is rare in this day and age of childcare opportunity shortages. If you would like to get into the list for those sites or like to get one of these openings, you can give us a call at 764-3721. We also encourage families who are looking for childcare not in the not too distant future to get on the waiting list at any of our early care and education facilities. They do provide a top quality education. Our centers in Caribou, Presque Isle, and Holton are 3 of the only 4 quality 4. That's the highest level childcare centers in Aroostook County, and we're very proud of that and would welcome having your young one join us at our childcare facilities. The community closet continues to be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for those in need of clothing or for those wanting to drop off clothing for others in need. It's at our 771 Main Street facility in Presque Isle. Again, 24/7, it's open, it's give what you can, take what you need principle. If you do come by during office hours, you're welcome to drop the clothing off in our lobby as well. And if you do come after hours, we'd certainly appreciate it if you'd like to hang the clothing up yourself in the community closet. But that's again available to folks all day long. The COVID-19 Emergency Rental Assistance Program does continue. We'll be talking about that more. We talked about it on last week's broadcast, but if you do pay rent here in Aroostook County, meet the income eligibility guidelines, which are available on our website, and have some COVID-related financial impact, and that can be just increased bills if your grocery costs, as all of us have been more because of issues related to COVID. In terms of supply and demand, you are eligible to apply for this program, and odds are you will receive rental assistance. And certainly that goes for both rent and utilities. If you're having trouble paying for rent and utilities, you can look the income guidelines up as well as get the application at mainhousing.org/COVID-rent. You can call us directly at 764-3721, and we can actually complete the application for you online if you have difficulty doing so online yourself, and we'd be happy to help you with that. And lastly, if you need anything at all, if you are in need of any assistance and not quite sure where to turn, your family is having a challenging time right now, or your household, please do give us a call at 764-3721. We do have program navigators available to assist folks with both services and programs we offer here at ACAP, but with programs and services that are in some of our partner agencies across Aroostook County. And with that, I am pleased to welcome to the program officially 3 of our team members in our energy programs. First, Erin Benson, who is the coordinator of energy and workforce development programs. Welcome back to ACAP Today, Erin.
Thank you very much, Jason.
And Avril Gardner, I think this is a return trip, and I know that you are you're a little bit of a reluctant guest, but we're so happy to have you back on ACAP Today.
Thank you, Jason.
And making her first appearance is Monica Yeater, who's a relatively new team member for ACAP and has been doing some fantastic outreach work as it relates to the Home Energy Assistance Program. So Erin, as the leader of this much larger fearless team, because there are many more folks that work throughout Aroostook County on the Home Energy Assistance Program and energy programs for ACAP, let us know where things are at with the program.
Sure. Well, I think they wrote a song for that. It's called Leader of the Pack. So anyway, just saying, I'm not going to sing it, but so, you know, I'm sure it seems odd for people to hear about, to have us talk about heat when we experienced like 2 of the hottest days this past week. But we all know that that lovely winter is just around the bend. So I think the most important thing for people to know is that we have bent over backwards in every way that we can to get as many people through the door, so to speak, through the phone, to get the heating assistance that they need. And we're probably have seen about an 8% increase in applications. I know Avril has all the stats. I'll let her talk about that. But you know, the most important thing is that people can still make an appointment. We take appointments for this season until July 15th. And there's this misconception of why would I get it now? I don't have time to spend it. That's not the case at all. If you get a heating benefit right now, you have until April of 2022 to in which to spend it. So that picture says it all. I mean, you have this, we're experiencing this beauty on the left, but just around the corner is going to be the winter season. So anybody who gets a benefit now, that benefit is going to stay there and it's going to be able to be utilized come October, November, potentially even September when, you know, who knows when it gets cold around here. So I think that's the most important thing, that we've served more people, but we want to serve even more. And there's still time to get an appointment. And I'll turn it over to Avril. Avril, I know that you have the stats right there at your fingertips.
Yeah, we have taken over 5,000. We've taken 5,693 applications so far this season. Almost 5,000 of those have gotten a benefit. The average benefit is anywhere between $600 and $700 on an average. We still have about 100 pending applications that we've got right now, and we've got about 50 appointments scheduled so far till the end of the season. We have room for plenty more. So if anyone hasn't applied yet this season, or has applied and got denied and wants to reapply because their circumstances have changed, more than welcome to call us and schedule an appointment.
Yeah, that's an important thing to note, April, because really the only people who really don't have a benefit of calling us at this point right now are folks who between the mid-August, late August of last year, and now have received a benefit. But even folks who maybe applied earlier in the season and, as you pointed out, have had a change, those folks may want to very well give us back a call, because they could still be eligible for a benefit that would be a real kickstart to the next heating season, as Erin's pointed out.
Yeah. Yes.
Now, Monica, I know you've been working with some of those folks, because you've been sort of working off of a list and doing more outbound calls and service delivery to folks. What have you been up to, and what has been the response that you've received?
So definitely, like Erin said, we want to reach as many people as we can to help out with fuel assistance under our HEAP program, and we have called over 1,000 people. And it still amazes me that we are trying to reach people and they don't know, or they haven't heard about our HEAP program. So we definitely want to reach out as many people as we want to, as we can.
So that's a good point. There are, and let's use this vehicle for a moment to have you share with folks who may not know, or who seem surprised about certain aspects of the home energy assistance program, or who may have, 3 seasons ago's kind of perspective of the home energy assistance program. There have been some changes, and what it's all about. Erin, you want to sort of take the lead on that one in terms of what
Sure.
is HEAP, who's eligible?
Sure. HEAP is Home Energy Assistance Program, and it gives people a benefit to help them toward the cost of heating their home during the winter. And so there's an income eligibility guideline, and it goes by the number of people in the household and how much income you make. And so if you go on to ACAP's website, or I guess there it is, you're going to pull it up right now. So if people look at this and say, okay, I'm one person, I'm a family of one, and you have to make less than $2,344 in a month. So people can look at this very clearly and say, oh gosh, I'm eligible. I didn't know that. The thing that they have to remember is that the numbers, the 2,344, that's all gross. It's before taxes are taken out. So we look at only gross income, and we look at all of the income that comes into the household. So if somebody in your household gets wages, somebody else gets Social Security, somebody else gets TANF, we look at all of those wages together, because we do look at the wages for the whole household. But somebody can easily see whether they're eligible or not. And even if somebody is over those guidelines, there's still ways to make them eligible by deducting medical expenses. And we can deduct as many medical expenses in the 3-month period looking back before they apply, try and get them under that threshold. So, if people start thinking about, what prescriptions do you buy? The doctor, when did you go to the doctor, and did you have a copay? Did you go to the dentist? Did you go and get your eyes checked? So all of those things count as medical expenses, and we can take all of them and deduct it, so we can get you under that threshold. So you can, obviously be eligible for a benefit. And the size of your benefit really depends on, the size of your home, what kind of fuel you have. A lot of people, they want oil rather than kerosene, because oil is cheaper, and they think, oh, I'm going to get more fuel for my money. But that's not the way it works. You're given enough money to cover the cost of the fuel. And so we know that some fuel, like kerosene, is more expensive. And so they give you a higher benefit because of that. So there are some guidelines as far as how they calculate. It's a very complex algorithm, or what they use, but But it's factored on several different things. But it's never intended to cover somebody's entire heating burden. And so that's why we have to remind people that it is an assistance program. So it will never cover the whole bill, but it could cover up to anywhere from 40 to probably 60% of the bill, which is, for people, particularly for older people on a limited income, or for someone who's on SSI and has a limited income, or, for a family that have several children, and, children are expensive. And so, any kind of support, yes, as we all have had them and know how expensive they are, any kind of support, it just helps lighten the burden. And so that's exactly what the program is for. And it's so needed up here in Aroostook County, where our winters are, they're significant.
Now, Averill, I want to pick up on one of the things that Erin said in that, and it sort of follows on something that you were saying earlier. In the income eligibility guideline sheet that we just had up on the screen, I'll put back up on the screen as you start to show here, you can see that there's the 1 month, 3 month, and then the 12-month threshold. So it's really in those particular capture points where you were talking about if something has changed in someone's household income, if you've retired, or if you had a loss of hours or whatever in employment, or even an increase in expenses like medical expenses, that's when it's really worth considering, trying a second time in a season. So I know that you've actually experienced that with applicants in the course of one season, where it's been denied initially, but then you come back later in the season when things have changed. So talk to that for a moment.
Yes, if you're denied for being over income and your income happens to be higher in 3 months out of the year and then not in the next, so if your income has changed, you can reapply. You can reapply as many times as you need to in one season until you get a certified application. So if you have things that have changed, or if you're missing something in one application and you finally have it, you can reapply and get it and get another appointment to apply again. And also, like Erin was saying, it's to help with your fuel. Also, people who rent where the heat is included can also apply, because if you were renting and your heat wasn't included, your rent is a little lower than it would be if your heat was included. So you do have a heating burden, but it's just an indirect heating burden. So you can apply if your heat is included in your rent. You would just get a direct check or get a check sent to your light bill, whatever you prefer. But you can apply if your heat is included in your rent also.
That's an important thing for folks to know, because I think some folks must just think that they're not eligible.
Yeah.
If that's included. Monica, I think one of the important things to sort of follow up on, I'm sorry, Erin, did you want to say something?
Yes. Anybody who gets paid every 2 weeks, you get 26 paychecks in the year. And 2 of those months, you'll get 3 paychecks. And that has kicked people off of receiving a benefit. And so what we do is we look and to tell them, okay, you need to apply in this month, because when we look back, you'll only have 2 paychecks per month. So, I mean, it's even as scientific as that. So we really do try and give everybody the benefit of the doubt to try and help them get this benefit.
And Monica Yeater, timing really is everything with applying for the Home Energy Assistance Program. And one of the reasons why you're out there encouraging people to apply right now is because when people start to think about this in the fall, there are certain things that prevent us from being able to say, yes, sure, we can apply this week or next week, we can get your application in. And then in their mind, some folks think, gosh, that means the following week I'm going to have money on my account and everything's going to be taken care of. There is a process to the Home Energy Assistance Program. It's funded through government resources. So sort of help people understand what happens through the Home Energy Assistance Program from the time that they have that appointment to the time that they get that benefit. And I think that'll help them understand why now is a really good time to apply.
Okay, so they will call and they make an appointment. One of our intake people will call them and make that do their application with them over the phone. Within 5 to 7 days, they will receive that application, and they will go ahead and sign the application and send it back with all of the backup that they need. After that application gets into our program, someone will check it to make sure that all of the paperwork is there. And then after that, it will get certified. When we are really in the heat of the season, it can take from 6 to 8 weeks to process. But right now, since we are towards the end of our season, it can take up to 2 weeks probably to go ahead and process that application, or even less. So they would be getting their benefit much faster now. And like Aaron said, they still are able to use it until April of 2022. So they will be able to use it in this upcoming winter season.
The ability for them to get that benefit even in this time of the year, though, is largely dependent on their ability to get certain documents to us, because there's the application part, but those documents are really critical, correct?
Yes, they are. And we walk them through it. If the application it's missing something, we'll call them, we'll talk to them. We try to help them as much as possible. So yeah.
Yeah, I just want to jump in there. That's a big reason why some people don't receive a benefit, is because they don't get us the documents, and there's a time frame to it. And so the clock is ticking, and there's only so many days for them to get us back these documents. And so some people don't even send us back anything. We send out a packet of information and they don't even send back a signed, application. But we require things like a photocopy of your driver's license, a photocopy of social security cards for everybody in the household, wage statement. If you get a social security check, the letter that comes from the Social Security Administration. And, these are things that sometimes people don't keep. And so then they have to go and dig around. And during the pandemic with things closed, the Social Security office was closed, and it just made it difficult. And I think people get frustrated and they get, I call it paperwork fatigue, and they give up. And we try and do everything we can to help them. But I bet, and Monica did a lot of checking in of those documents. So Monica, just from a recall, what do you think people are missing most often?
Their social security cards and their IDs, or missing a signature in the application. So yeah, those were the big ones.
So these are things that people could, if they're hearing this right now, they could start to gather all of these documents up, make photocopies, and because we've probably, April, do you have that at the top of your head? How many people we've voided because we didn't have the right documents? Do you remember how many?
We voided 393 people because they never signed the application, sent it back.
Close to 400 people
Wow.
that could have received a benefit potentially.
And let's monetize that for a moment, April. I realize that the benefits vary, but what's an average benefit in this season, or if we don't have this season's number, the most recent season before that? Do we have that number?
The average benefit that was given out is about $660 that was given out.
So that's a lot over a signature or a social security card or driver's license. That's leaving money right on the table.
Yeah.
I have my little calculator here. It's over $250,000.
Right.
Wow. That folks in Aroostook County would likely have been eligible for, to assist them in heating their homes in the winter months that they didn't access. They simply didn't access. Wow.
And we also, those are people that are just voided. Then we have a group of people who are denied. And sometimes they're denied because they're over income, but other times they're denied because we have their signed application, but we don't have those other documents. They're missing the social security cards. They're missing the pension is another one. We need these documents. And I wish I could just say, go ahead, we'll do it without it. But we're under very strict guidelines. And I know it is frustrating. I understand that. But, if people could just get these documents into us in a timely fashion, like I said, there are a lot of people who are denied because we're just missing something. Sometimes it's just one paycheck stub. And
And it's not because we're trying to be difficult or trying to be sticklers. These are requirements that we have, correct?
Right. I mean, there are a list of guidelines. We have a handbook that's this thick about, how we do business, and we have to be very particular about, what we're allowed to. We can't take bank statements. Somebody says, "Well, I get my Social Security. It is automatically deposited in my bank account. Here's my bank statement." We can't take that because we go by gross, and what you receive in your bank account is net. Now, some people's gross and net is the same for Social Security, but sometimes it's different, and we don't know until we see that official letter from the Social Security Administration. And so I know it's difficult for people to understand, but it's not about being close, it's about being exact.
And the other thing that, whenever I speak with you and we speak about this program publicly, that we want to make sure that we clear any myths about in the public is, if you get a benefit, it's not taking it from somebody else or meaning somebody else is going to be given less, correct?
Correct. You know who does this most often is our elderly population.
Mhm.
I don't want to take it away from somebody who needs it. No, that's not how this works. If you need it, you apply, and if you're eligible, you get it. If the next person in line needs it and they're eligible, they'll get it. And everybody's standing in line. It's not the cutoff of, oh, we can only take so many. It's who is eligible. And so you're not taking away any money from anybody else. So if you need it, apply and get the benefit.
Monica, what are you getting from some of the folks that you're doing the outreach to? These are folks that may have been away from the program for a number of years, and they never have applied before, that are, getting a HEAP benefit for the first time in years or for the first time ever in some cases. What are they saying?
Well, like I said, a majority of people, they have no idea what the HEAP program is. Other people are like, okay, well, I applied a couple years ago and I was denied, so I don't want to try again this year. So those are the two types of the majority of people that we're calling. There's a few that have moved out of the area, obviously, but other than that, that's the majority of the people that we're talking to.
And I know that the position that you're filling for us was one that is intended to do more of this kind of outreach, and that's been a little limited this past year because of COVID. But as we get into another heating season and the tail end of this one, and as some of the COVID restrictions are lifting now, are you looking forward to sort of getting out into the community and helping people be more aware of this program?
Definitely, we do want to do outreach and actually be just face to face with people and talk about HEAP and how we can help them. So definitely.
And Aaron Benson, speaking of that, there's some upcoming changes for this year's fuel assistance program with the COVID pandemic sort of lifting some of the guidelines and restrictions that is going to both bring back a practice from past years, more traditional practices, but also allow us to help folks in ways that we learned through the pandemic. So talk about what the future of the home energy assistance program looks like in this coming years.
Sure. Prior to the pandemic, our program was basically an in-person program only. There were some that were done by phone, but it was a very narrow, subset. But with the pandemic, we obviously had to shut our doors, and everything was done over the phone. And that's the way it was done this season as well. So as restrictions are lifting, ACAP's already opened its doors, other people are opening their doors. And so what we're going to do is give people the choice. They can do it by phone or they can come in person. And some people will tell us, oh, I love doing this over the phone. They're transportationally challenged. We live in the largest county east of the Mississippi. Transportation can be a major setback for some people. And so they're very grateful that they can just have somebody call them and they can do it by mail. Other people, they want that in-person experience. They want somebody to sit with them, to look at the paperwork and go over it page by page and have their questions answered. So, both the person asking the question and the person answering can see the same piece of paper. And it just is a level of comfort for some people. So, we're honoring the past and the present by giving people, that opportunity to do either one. So We are going to ask them though to let us know if we need to call them. So that's when the appointment letters go out. You know, if somebody wants it by phone, they just need to let us know that we need to call them rather than wait for them at the door.
And Averill Gardner, as we return to the in-person option in this coming season, you and your team, I know you're working on scheduling, you really make every effort to get closer to where people are at. So talk about where we do in-person intake.
We have, we go to Island Falls, Weston, Sherman, and we go to Van Buren, Allagash, St. Francis, Madawaska, and Eagle Lake. We go to all of those points to reach the people that have a long journey to get to our regular offices, which are Fort Kent, Holton, Presque Isle, and Caribou.
Right. So there's really, we try to get as close to people as we possibly can. And clearly, there's a benefit not only for folks who prefer the kind of in-person service where you're looking at the same materials and you can sign the application right then and there on the spot, but there's also, I think, some benefit that we've missed and some of the individuals we serve every year have missed, in that it really gives us an opportunity to do a check-in, Erin, Benson, that sort of in-person, how are you doing? Is there anything else that we can help you with?
Yes. I prefer the in-person appointment because I prefer talking face-to-face with somebody rather than on the phone. It's just more personal for me. But a lot of the people, like Erin said, prefer to do it over the phone. It gets done faster that way for them. But in person, I like the in-person appointments.
I think a number of our seniors as well, I do enjoy that, and they make an outing of it. And those tend to, so just, and another thing that I think folks need to understand, and this is part of the reason why now is a good time to apply if you haven't already received a benefit this season, is that the beginning part of that season is a critical period of time, is it not? Yes. There's something very important, or a series of things very important that need to happen between the open of the season and a certain time through.
Yes, we have 90 days to service our priority people. And our priority people are people who are 60 and older, people who have children under the age of 6, and people who are disabled, and the wood clients that we have. We have to get them all serviced within the first 90 days. So it's very hard for someone who hasn't applied to call in September and say, hey, can I have an appointment? Because there may not be an available appointment till January. So now is a good time for somebody who has never applied to apply, because they will get their benefit before winter starts, and then they'll be put in the rotation for next season.
And I always like to share the story, Averill. I remember last year, just around the 4th of July, of 3 seniors that drove down from Madawaska and sat on our back picnic table because our facility wasn't open. And I had you come out, and 2 of the ladies had never received the home energy assistance program before. They were both widows. Their husbands had taken care of things. They had always been provided for, or had provided for their families, and they got their first allocation and have come back.
Yes, and they remember me. When I speak to them, they remember who I am.
You're unforgettable, Averill.
Oh yes,
there's another song. There's another song, Erin. Natalie Cole.
There you go.
Nat King Cole.
So Monica, as the new kid on the block, there's a group right there, 80s,
there you go.
Pop, right? It's like a musical theme today. What has been your experience, sort of as the newcomer to the group, and what you've seen? You have not operated the home energy assistance program in any other period other than the pandemic. What has it been like for you?
I guess I didn't know any better. So I mean, so good. It's been good. Everybody has been very nice. All the customers have been super nice and understanding. We are talking on the phone, like Averill said. Since our offices were closed, we haven't seen anybody in person, but it's been good.
So let's go over one last time for folks. For who should apply, about the HEAP program. I'm going to bring up this last slide here, and just let's just give people out there a recap about HEAP. and what they need to know. Erin, I'm going to turn to you.
Sure. So I think the thing that that we've heard that I want to let people know about is people will say I've applied before and been denied, and we have repeated this many times, but I think it's important to reiterate it, that the guidelines, the eligibility guidelines went up. The dollar amounts went up, and not at the beginning of this season, but at the beginning of last season, and it went up significantly. So if you were a household of one, it increased by 40%. So I think, I think that's important for people to know. So if they have tried in the past and have been denied, and they just have in their head forever that they will be denied, they need to come back and take a second look. So it's a program, again, that pays for a portion of your heating costs. It's an assistance program. It doesn't pay all of it. And it's the benefit amount is based on several factors: income, the size of the household, the type of fuel that you use, your energy costs, how much you use. That's definitely a factor. And eligibility, they can just look up on the ACAP website and look at the guidelines, and that's a great place to start. So if they're under or just a little bit over, they can give us a call. We can set up an appointment. We can help them walk through it. And this is a great opportunity right now. We have plenty of appointments. We are taking appointments until July 15th. And this is a perfect opportunity to set yourself up, because one thing that I will say about Maine Housing is typically the money comes from obviously the the federal government, and that money isn't released until sometime in November. And so Maine Housing isn't able to release the benefit until, in the past, it's been close to Thanksgiving. So even if you had applied in August, and been certified for a benefit, you don't actually get it until the money is released. And so, these people weren't getting a benefit until around Thanksgiving, mid to late November. This upcoming season, Maine Housing is trying to release those funds around the first week of October, which will be a huge benefit for participants in Aroostook County, because it gets colder much quicker up here than it does for the rest of the state. So that's going to be a godsend for many.
That will be a godsend, and it added about 15 years to Avril Gardner's life on the news of that alone, and dropped her blood pressure considerably, because it's those October and November calls that come in when people are without fuel and are looking for emergency assistance, that we're hoping that this is going to help take the edge off of that a little bit.
Yeah.
Monica, you haven't experienced the October November timeframe yet, so we'll look forward to you experiencing that, and you may get it easy this year.
We'll see.
Anything we missed that we want to talk about, Avril, Monica, and Erin?
I just want to make sure that these subsidized with heat people, the people that think they don't need to apply, they don't have to apply because their heat's included, they have subsidized rents. If you are getting food stamps, please apply. Because if you notice that your food stamps took a drop, that's why. If you are in subsidized housing and your heat's included and you're receiving food stamps, that you have to apply for this program in order to keep the maximum amount of your benefit. So if you've noticed that your benefit has dropped in your food stamps, please call and apply.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I know that when we started our coaching work a few years back, there were a number of families in early care and education programs right here within the agency, Avril, that were not applying for the home energy assistance program because they actually feared that their food stamp amount would decline. And in many cases, it actually is just the reverse, that that benefit increases.
Yes, anybody that has food stamps has to apply for this program in order to get their maximum amount.
Right. I know that you are all working very hard to not only close out this season. We have until July 15th, and encourage folks to call us. Don't wait until July 14th, though, because that'll be...
Please don't. Please don't.
But do give us a call. And I know that you're also looking forward ahead to next season. We're talking about, there's home energy assistance program, rental assistance, and hopefully a homeowner assistance program coming out soon, and talking about how we make things work well for customers across the spectrum on all of that. So thank you for all the work that you're doing on looking ahead and taking care of folks today. With that, again, thank you to the three of you. And before we leave the rest of you today, I want to make sure to share with you just a couple of things. First, if you are considering and are looking for employment at this time, or considering a change in your employment, and have been watching us and like what you hear about how things happen here at the agency and are moved by the work that we do, and you'd like to join us, we do have current openings there that are listed on the screen. You can see some of the benefits that we offer listed there as well. And we are now offering a $500 sign-on bonus. So please do consider joining our team. You can find the current openings on our website, acap-mu.org. And lastly, as we do each week at the end of our ACAP Today broadcast, our snapshots, in this case, snapshots of the week. Last Friday, Friday the 4th of June, we honored a couple of our employees, one being Sue Powers, ACAP's Director of Programs, who marks her 40th year with ACAP this coming month in July. And she was honored by having the new facility that was the former 50 Park Street property named in her honor. It will be named Powers Place, adjacent to our Goulville Early Care and Education Center in Presque Isle, a very fitting honor for one of the state's foremost leaders in early care and education. And then the other colleague that we were very pleased to honor and to memorialize was Val DeLong, who was a long-term member of our team, 23-year member of our team, and most recently served as the cook at our Early Care and Education Center at Goulville. And we planted a tree in her honor, an apple tree, very fitting, that will bear fruit someday to honor her memory and the legacy that she has. By the way, Val DeLong was one of our amazing team members who put out over 100,000 meals that were delivered to families' homes at the height of the pandemic just a year ago. So certainly very, very fitting that we recognize her in this way. And we thank her family for joining us for the celebration. And we thank all of you for joining us on this week's edition of ACAP Today. We'll see you next week when we look at another program and service that we offer here at the agency and more news and information you can use. Have a great week, everyone.